airstream. Try. Nice. 1, 2, 3. Relax here. Team. Good. Very good. How do you like this idea?
I like it.
You like it,
I
right?
like it.
So we have to move forward, then all of a sudden we have to hold back where he's asking us to do ritenuto before we go into a tempo, and then it would be great if you can relax
Even more.
the intensity there a little bit. And then you have to give more. It's like a glimpse of memory. You thought about something, and you got relaxed. And then again, you're playing with more intensity. Okay? How about from a tempo? Relax. Nice. 2, 1, 2, 3. Nice. 3, 1. And I would really go. You did beautifully here. I really love the intensity there, and I could tell that even though he's writing poco crescendo, this time I really heard that you were going for it. So
Okay.
thank you. Here, where we have the connection between C and the high E, I would just use my the fastest, the most intense air
Okay.
possible,
Okay.
and you really have to go for that into it. So. Okay.
Okay.
So separate a little bit F, D, and C, and then from C to the high E, use all your air. Okay. Yeah. So it popped out a little bit, which is good because you're going in the right direction.
Okay.
So now you can tell yourself, oh, maybe it was a little too much. So I'll back off just a little bit, and then that time the connection will be better. So why don't you try one more time from the F, D, C, E, and then really go for it from the C to the E. Nice. It's better. It's getting there, right? I would still separate the F, D, and C the way he writes it. So. Could you separate but not stop your air? Better. So you can work on it at home and really try to go for it. The big thing about the beginning is we're waking up. We're not showing all our intensity yet. You can do that in the cadenza. You can do. There are more excitement in the sections after the cadenza, but here you really need to sing. You have to use a lot of air and think of one big line. So no, even though there are short segments in some places, but you have to really think forward in order for those smaller segments to help us and imagine a bigger picture.
Okay.
Make sense?
It does.
So, and I wouldn't worry about that. Some of my notes may pop out when I try to connect them. Even if they do, that's fine. That's why you're working on it and you're practicing. But it's better if you can go a little bit back, come back from
Gotcha.
too much of it air, then there is not enough. Then every time you'll be playing it and you'll be thinking to yourself, am I using enough air? will the note come out or not?
Mhm.
And that way, you're pretty certain it will come out. Sometimes it may pop out, but most of the time, if you practice it enough and in a correct way, then it will be there. Trust me, okay? Okay. Should we move to the cadenza?
Sure.
Good. This a lot of great things. I really enjoy it. No, seriously, it sounds wonderful. Sounds wonderful. I love the idea that you took a lot of time, and I think that's one of the most important things that when we have a cadenza, and especially in a piece like this where the cadenza is actual movement, people tend to not to take enough risks, and I heard it many times that the way they did it, and I always like when I listen to somebody play it, and they really go for it, not just technically or with their dynamics, legato, but also with timing, because those rests are just as important as the actual music. Okay, so let's go to the very beginning, if you don't mind. So here, I would really differentiate between the 8 notes and those triplets. Okay, that's thing number 1. Another thing is we have all those accents, right? And we have to figure out what we're going to do with them. And it's challenging to put those accents every time we have them on the page. So we have to pay extra attention to that, right? So those are big, points about what I just heard. But otherwise sounds wonderful. Let's just begin one more time and really enjoy and bring out those fermatas that he puts here. Okay, let's try. Good. Now you're really doing it, and I appreciate it. Thank you. Maybe I like the length of it, but ta 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 ram. So as a one gesture instead of. And then it becomes a little too choppy, So we would still like to feel the overall form here.
Gotcha.
Makes sense? So. to me, this is one phrase.
Okay.
And because there are a lot of fermatas, long notes, different thematic material. And if every time we take extra time between those small segments, then the overall cadenza will become very long, which is fine, but I think you can keep the intensity and not to expand it so much, okay? I like what you're doing, but just, again, similar to the beginning, think of it as a one long line. Even though you're following everything he's telling you on the page, you putting those fermatas, you play somewhat faster where it says so, accelerando twice as fast, and I really like the difference you made between the tempos there. But just within one thought, don't have too many of other ones, okay?
Okay.
Make sense?
It does.
So let's try at the very beginning of the cadenza and think of it as a one long line,
Okay.
with some stops on the way. And that's your arrival point. Make sense to you?
It does.
So that way, I know exactly what you're doing. I know that you're starting here, and then you're bringing me with your beautiful sound, with your musical intensity. I hear in your music that you have a direction, and that's important when you start, especially in a cadenza like this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Great. Sounds wonderful. Let's try from here.
Same here.
Good. And it's here he puts, those are the first accents we see
Mhm.
here, right? So try to bring them out a little bit more. Let's do one more time. Much better. And he's helping us. He's actually writing crescendos to forte, and then we can really nail those accents, right? Right? So let's try one more time. Good. And I would stretch a little bit more the third time when he writes it. Hold back, more deliberate, right? Let's do one more time. Good. And then another thing here, which is very important, that when there are a lot of timing here, obviously, and it's absolutely vital to make sure that our fingers, they line up with our tongue, so our fingers are not moving too slow or too fast, and the same goes for the tongue, right? So you really need to think of which note you can spend a little bit more time on, and then the note that you can grab onto. Make sense?
It does.
So I like thinking that way, and for instance, in this passage, I want to think of the first note, and then maybe B or the C sharp. So when I practice, I tend to exaggerate this way. And I try to see what works for me, because what works for me may not work for you or for